Welcome to Bic Homes. Let's talk local. I'm Shirley, Sales and Marketing Manager for Bic Homes, and we have a special guest with us today, Cesar from Rocky Mountain Mortgage. Cesar, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Ms. Shirley. Appreciate you.
Can you give us a little bit of background on how long you've been in the industry?
Absolutely. First of all, I'd like to take the time to introduce myself. My name is Cesar Garcia, also Sales and Marketing Manager at Rocky Mountain Mortgage Company. I myself have been in the industry for about 14 years now. I've been on both sides of the contract. I've not only originated loans for the last 8 years, but I've also sold homes prior to that.
Great. So I know you come with a wealth and a plethora of information for us. That's why we've got you here today. You're with Rocky Mountain Mortgage. Give us a little bit of background on Rocky. How long has Rocky been in the industry?
Absolutely. So Rocky Mountain Mortgage Company has been locally owned and operated since 1985. That's a little bit over 37 years. And we're very proud to have served the local community for such an extended amount of time.
One of the main reasons that I wanted to get together with you today was to get a little bit more clarity on the local industry. We all know that El Paso is just a little bit different than the rest of the nation for some odd reason. Yeah. We don't go through the huge ups and downs like the rest of the market. We just kind of ride the short little waves.
True.
So with that, we keep hearing that, oh, we're in a big bubble. The bubble's gonna pop. Don't buy now, wait. How would you reply to that?
I mean, I don't necessarily say, one, that we're in a bubble. You know, what happened in 2008 was we were insuring a lot of loans that weren't necessarily financially stable, to say the least. Now that we're a little bit more heavily regulated on the loan side, most of the loans that we've secured over the past decade have been, more than sound to sustain for the life of these loans. So I don't think we're necessarily in the same bubble. But to address your initial question, I don't think there's ever a good time to wait to buy. What people forget about is even though the rates are a little bit higher, when you purchase that home today at a higher rate, you can always refinance down the line. And over those years, while you're waiting for rates to go down, you're building equity, which then you can later use to reduce your payment. If you wait and buy later to get a lower rate, that same home might be worth more, and you just missed out on all that equity over those 4 or 5 years while rates drop.
So basically what I'm hearing is, if you wait to purchase, possibly my buying power won't buy me the same house. I may have to settle for something less.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, the home that you're purchasing today, anywhere between 200, 300,000, might be a lot bigger today than it'll be down the line, and you might limit yourself to what you're looking at in 4 or 5 years versus purchasing now.
That's good to know. So Cesar, you mentioned the different types of loans. So what or why would somebody want to use a Tex-Vet loan?
So the Texas Veteran Land Board, what it's going to do, it's going to take a regular VA loan and layer it with the Texas Veteran Land Board rate for the day. So those rates will change weekly. And what that veteran will end up doing is getting a typically lower than market rate. Now, the veteran that's disabled 30% or more is going to get a 0.5 point discount on that rate. Say today's Texas Veteran Land Board rate is at a 6.5, someone with a 30% disability would get a 0.5 point discount and get a 6% rate. So that Texas veteran rate is farly gonna benefit these veterans in the long run with these rates.
That's perfect. So we are Energy Star rated, so.
Absolutely, and the fact that you guys are Energy Star certified is gonna allow the consumer, a veteran, to utilize that product specifically with a Bic home.
Bic Homes currently has inventory where we're offering up to 5% to the buyer to help them get into a home. We have several homes available, so that actually translates to about $20,000 in assistance. What could a buyer do at Rocky with that money?
So to answer that question, one of the things that we're going to do when we first meet with our customers is not only identify their needs, both short-term and long-term. We have some customers that might come into our city and be here on military orders and only need to be here a short amount of time, 4 or 5 years. And borrowers like them might want to buy down their rate for a short amount of time. And they might be a lot more payment driven versus someone that's maybe trying to build equity and pay off their home in 10 or 15 years, and maybe financing for 30 years might not be for them. So the fact that you guys are contributing such a hefty amount is going to allow us to sit down with each individual borrower and identify their needs. We have different products that will allow borrowers to potentially buy down the rate for a short period of time, like I mentioned, with the 2-1 buy down program. Essentially what that is say today's market rate is at a 7%. What we could do on a 2-1 buy down product is for year one, the rate is 2 points lower. So on a 7% fixed rate, they'd be looking year one at a 5%, year two at a 6%, and then year three and on a 7% rate. That'll benefit someone who's hoping that rates will come down in the future. And it's also going to benefit someone that's not going to be in that home for 30 years and only needs that low payment for a short period of time. Now, someone that's wanting to build equity over time and maybe potentially pay this home off, not in the full 30 year, maybe a 20 to 25 year span, might be best suited buying down the rate on a permanent buy down. Maybe utilizing some of those funds, not only to cover all the closing costs, which you guys gracefully do, but also buy down a portion of that rate permanently for the 30 years, make some additional payments, put more of that money to principal and pay this home off sooner.
Wow, that's fantastic. So they've got the money. You guys have the loans.
Yeah.
We have the homes.
Bring them together.
It's a great partnership. So what could a potential buyer do to help them better qualify? What are some of the obstacles that you guys seem to find on a more common basis?
So I think one of the most difficult things that we run into is tons of misinterpretations and misunderstanding really to when it comes to what a lender needs. I think it's very important for anyone that's wanting to purchase a home to meet with the professionals both on the sales side and on the mortgage side to really understand what they're going to need to get into a home. A lot of the times what ends up happening is you want to go out and purchase a home, so you fall to family, friends, coworkers, and they feed you all the information that they found. You go to Google, and then you just end up with this plethora of information that might not necessarily apply to you. So I think one of the biggest obstacles that we as an industry are facing right now is a disconnect and a lack of education with our borrowers. So I think it's very important for us as professionals to sit down with these customers and explain to them, the basic things that we're going to need from them. We do need a 2-year work history, but that doesn't mean you have to necessarily be at your job for 2 years. It definitely helps if you are, but that doesn't mean you have to be at that same job for 2 years. You don't need 20% down to be in a home. There are first-time home buyer products, although right now they might not necessarily have funds. Those do renew periodically. So there's first-time home buyer products. Depositing cash. Do I need to have tons of credit card, or should I pay off all my debt before I have to buy a house? Those are all things that are specific to certain customers. Some customers might have to pay off debt. Some customers might need even open credit cards because they don't have any established credit history. So I think on our side, one of the biggest obstacles is having to be the first person that educates the borrower and completely changes the dynamic of everything that they've learned from family, coworkers, friends, and Google, to say the least. So education, I think, and meeting with professionals like you and I is one of the first steps that consumers should take into purchasing a home.
Okay, I think one of the biggest issues or obstacles that we encounter is clients going shopping for a home, falling in love with the home, then going to the mortgage company and realizing that they found the home, but they don't necessarily qualify. So would you say it's really better to at least get a pre-approval, talk to you first, rather than going out and falling in love with a home and then finding out that the buying power just isn't there?
Absolutely. So a lot of the times what ends up happening, especially in this environment, most consumers don't want to make the decision on purchasing a specific home or getting pre-qualified till they found the dream home. And they find the dream home, they go to the mortgage side and realize that they have a laundry list of things that they have to do to get into this home. I think most customers would be better suited meeting with a financial expert, meeting with a loan officer, looking at their financial status from credit to debt, how much money they have available for a down payment, their employment history, and how soon we can get them into this home. I'm sure you've ran into this a lot, but we've ran into a lot of consumers that already have a home. Are they going to rent that home? Are they going to sell that home before they upgrade to this next one? So ideally, in a perfect world, it would be perfect for a consumer to come and meet, get pre-approved, figure out what they can do without going out of their way to having to pay off debt, giving a large down payment to get into that home, and knowing how much they qualify at their core, and then finding the home that fits their needs. And if they do want to upgrade, at least they'll understand that if it's out of that set budget that we set, that they might have to pay off some debts or come in with more money out of pocket.
That makes sense. That definitely makes a lot of sense. So we need to get them qualified.
Ideally,
we need to definitely send them to you guys. So how would local, you keep mentioning Google, and I know that I've seen that happen. We end up with XYZ that is in Timbuktu, and we have a hard time on the builder side. We have a hard time communicating with that type of environment because they're not always on our same time zones. They don't know how we do things here locally, the qualifications of the home versus where they're at. They're asking for different type of documents. So local versus not
National.
local are benefits. What is the biggest benefit on using a local lender?
So, I mean, one of the bigger benefits of utilizing us as a local lender, specifically with Bic Homes, is that we've already established that relationship. Not only do we have an open line of communication between the sale and the financing side, but on the consumer side, they're always going to have a local 915 number that they're going to be able to call in case they have questions on their loan, on their escrow payment, making their payment arrangements. If they ever want to come back and refinance, there's always going to be a local office that they can walk into and not have to wait on an 800 number. On the larger scale, we definitely offer some of the same conveniences that these national companies offer. You can apply online, you can do everything electronically, you can do everything over the phone if you need to, but you also have the added benefit of walking into an office, meeting with a friendly face at a loan officer, or having your loan officer meet you at a Bic home over the weekend to address some of these questions so that you, the salesperson, and the consumer can figure out what the needs are for the specific person. But not only does that help you on the transactional side, which you're actually doing by working local, is you're bringing the benefits of your purchase to the local economy. Not only do we allow our customers to finance their homes here, but we also assist most builders on their construction lending on a separate department that we have. So the one purchase really affects the whole community as in its entirety.
That's good. So it's kind of like the housing industry as well. We employ local, so keep the money local.
Keep the love and continue to grow our local environment. Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up all the questions that I had for you. I really appreciate the time you took to meet with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
And for you guys out there, Cesar is a real person. You can actually walk into his office and find him at any point in time, sometimes even out at our models. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.